Welcome to this week's workshop where we're going to go through a beginner's guide to Google Tag Manager. Welcome, my name is Julie Brody. I am the Director of Measurement for MeasurementMarketing.io. Been building actionable dashboards for a really long time and eventually became a measurement marketer just like you and started teaching measurement marketing a few years later, and I'm still an account manager for all of our dedicated measurement management clients, along with our amazing team of instructors. And I just mentioned that so you know that myself and along with our great team have lots of different experience in different types of platforms and tech and all kind of different things. So if you have a question, there's a really good chance that myself or the team has seen something and can help you out. And we always love a good puzzle to solve. So if you have questions, drop a comment or let us know. We're always here to help you. And as we go through this, we always remind you of the one thing, and that is where you don't try to grab everything that we're trying to tell you. Don't try to grab a 15 different golden nuggets. That is a little bit too overwhelming. So we remind you, grab one thing that you can take and start applying today, and then come back and watch this workshop another day, another week, another time, and that way you can get another one thing and continually level up and grow your skills that way. So let's go ahead and get started. A beginner's guide to Google Tag Manager. So as we start, we always remember this thing right here, which is called the Measurement Marketing Framework. We're going to start on the left-hand side where we see the words plan, build, and launch. In order to go through those, we have to kind of start where are we at right now? Where does everyone start? Everyone starts out with marketing in the blind. We all know that we've been here before. We don't know what's working. We just are kind of throwing spaghetti against the wall and hoping something sticks. And we want to be able to go to the point where we're reliably growing those revenue and profits, meaning we know what to do to make revenue grow. We know what to do to make conversions go up. We know exactly what button to push, what lever to pull to do that. We're not guessing anymore. And in order to do that, again, we go through our plan, build, and launch. And there's three, little steps in between of these steps in order to make this happen. And plan, it's questions, information, and action, meaning we need to know what questions to ask, the information you need, and the actions you're going to take. Now, if you don't get anything else from this workshop, I hope you take this piece right here. I hope this is your one thing, because this piece, from the years and years and years and years of experience and working with probably thousands of different companies at this point, this is the thing that people miss. So they don't ask the right questions. They just do everything that everyone else is doing, and then they don't have action tied to their questions, meaning they're just grabbing information for information's sake, and it's not what they really need, and they're not asking questions that lead to action, or they're jumping straight into their build, or just trying to go into the dashboards and hoping something jumps out at them. They have to be asking the right questions. And then in your build step, you're going to go from results, traffic, and story. Like, what are the results? What are your conversions, or other way of saying results? And then what traffic is causing those results? And then putting it together and telling a story so it makes sense. So you can then go into launch where you're listening and understanding that story, forecasting, and optimizing, where you're going through and leveling up and making things better. And then guess what? You're going to, after when you're optimizing, you're going to have bigger questions, and you're going to go through this whole thing again with bigger questions and kind of cycle through over and over and over again. And that's the beautiful thing with the measurement marketing framework that we have. And we do have an entire course. If you're wanting to know more about this, there's an entire course back there for you in our Measurement Marketing Academy. So what are tag managers? Obviously, this particular workshop is a guide for the beginner's guide for Google Tag Manager. But what are tag managers? Well, they're basically tools that collect data. So Google Tag Manager is not the only tag managing tool out there. There might be some other free ones. Google Tag Manager is free. There is no paid version of this. So Google Tag Manager is the one that we use because it's free, and it's pretty versatile in what it can do. But there are other tools out there, and the basic premise is that it collects data. And here's another example of looking at that. So tag managers collect data. Different analytics platforms, whether Google Analytics, all kind of other different type of analytics platforms, they store the data. They might have some very kind of primitive reporting, but for the most part, they are there for storing the data. And then your dashboards like Looker Studio or anything else are there for reporting the data. Most of these dashboard platforms, they're not storing the data, they're not collecting your data, they're just reflecting the data and reporting the data wherever it's coming from. So again, you have collect, store, and report. And that's just an easy way of thinking, what tool do I need to do the thing that I need to do? And so if you're trying to collect the data, a tag manager tool is great for that. And analytics, if you're needing to store, and same thing for dashboards. If you're needing to report, you look for that kind of tool. And again, some analytics will have some kind of basic primitive reporting, but usually eventually you'll want to level up into something just for reports. So let's go ahead and take another look at what we're talking about here with that. So with Google Tag Manager, as we mentioned, we have our collect, store, and report. So Google Tag Manager is our collect. Google Tag Manager, the beautiful thing with this is that it allows you to do kind of like two birds, one stone. So you're able to send your data to Google Analytics or whatever you're trying to send it to, but at the same time, you can send the information to Facebook or to Google Ads or to wherever it is you're trying to send it to. That way, all of your data is getting the signals at the same time, meaning the page views coming at the same time, the add to cart is coming through at the same time, the purchase is coming through at the same time, the lead generation is coming at the same time. All of these things are happening at the same time, and you don't have to worry about putting code on the page with a part of one little piece from Google Tag Manager, but you don't have to every single time you have a Facebook campaign or Google Ads campaign and you need to have new pixels set up on certain pages or something like that. You don't have to go to a developer to do anything. Google Tag Manager has one little piece, and sometimes you don't even need a developer depending on your tech stack, but you just go into Google Tag Manager to add your Facebook pixels or Google Ad pixels or anything else that measurement you want to add inside of Google Analytics 4. So it really allows you to level up your measurement in kind of insane ways. Because for the most part in Google Analytics, without Google Tag Manager, you're really limited to something kind of pretty basic. And then with Google Tag Manager, you're able to do a whole lot more. So let's go ahead and jump into an actual Google Tag Manager well, technically not a container yet. We're just looking at the overall all accounts page. And so what we have here is we have these things up top, our accounts, and then we have containers. And so you'll hear that word a lot if you're looking at any sort of Google Tag Manager training, is there's containers and then there's accounts. But containers is things you'll hear a lot about, and that is basically the thing that is on your site is a container. So if I come into this, and we're just going to hop in here, you can ignore that. So what you might be familiar with is this is what the Google Tag Manager script looks like. So meaning your site would have one container on it. And so this would be the container script. This would be the only piece that you would need to send to the developer. And once it's on there, you just give them instructions to make sure they do it to every single page. And then you're good to go. Sometimes, like if you're using WordPress or some other different type of tech tools, you just need this little piece right here, which is basically the ID that's identifying this particular container. And so just depending on your tech, but this is like the only piece, and most of the time it's once you set it up, you're done. You don't have to worry about it, just as long as the team knows not to take it off and that every single page, new page and everything has this. And the cool part about Google Tag Manager is there's always guides. So if you're coming here and you're like, I don't remember what to do, you can always click on these different guides, and a lot of times they're pretty easy to follow, which is really, really nice about that. I personally relied very, very, very heavily on these things when I first got started. So, and I've been at this for probably almost a decade now. And I will be completely honest, Tag Manager intimidated the crap out of me. Like, it was just really overwhelming. And I had to go slow. I had learned this extremely slow compared to what now that I'm teaching, and I see our students just understand this and grasp this so much faster than what I did. So if you've looked at this tool several times and you're just, this just doesn't make sense, I've been there. I know exactly how you're feeling. And my advice for you is to just get in there and play around with it and practice it. Maybe create your own practice WordPress site, and kind of follow along. There's all kind of other videos on YouTube or on here, or you can even kind of walk through this kind of thing, and just kind of practice and play with it. So now that I kind of give you that little feedback, we're going to go over the 3 major parts to Google Tag Manager, and that's what we have here. We have tags, triggers, and variables. So tags are the easy one to explain. They are the what. And so in this list of our tags, we can see all of our different tags that we have here. Then we have a column that says type, and we have triggers. We'll talk about that in a moment. Then we have this thing that's called folders, and then we have something that's called last edited. So the thing that we're going to focus on right now is a tag right here. And so the tag is what we want to fire. So in this case, the what is a Facebook pixel. We're going to fire a Facebook pixel. In this case right here is a Google Analytics 4 event, is a what is what we're going to fire. And here's the event name that we're going to fire. And then we go into GA4, another event for Google Analytics 4. And we have some things going on here, and we'll circle back to that in just a moment. If you ever see these little braces right here, that automatically tells you that's a variable. And we'll talk about variables here in just a moment. And then so far we have lots of GA4 stuff obviously going through, but we can also have some other more what we call custom HTMLs here as well. And so that's the what is it doing? And so if we come into a new, we're going to click on here, you could see all the different kinds of tags that you have available. So here's Google Ads. And so if we go and say, I want a remarketing tag, literally all you have to do is paste the ID here, paste the label here, and then so that's the what this is the what you want to fire. Then you have to know the when. So remember, triggers, tags are the what, and triggers are the when. So what you want to fire, when you want to fire it. And so again, if you're setting up a Google Ads remarketing pixel, all you have to do is paste this here, and say when you want it to fire. If it's something simple like all pages, there you go. You click on it and you're done. Literally that freaking fast. And so if that's not it, if you're like, no, I need it for a very particular page, then you might have it already here. Like, I only need it to be on if they become a new lead for Toolbox, because I want to retarget them for a lead magnet or something like that, and you would just paste that in there. So there's so many different ways you can do that. So again, your tag is the what, trigger is the when. And so we come into our triggers. Again, we see all these different kinds. We're going to click on our little plus button, and then we're going to click on our little rings, and we can see all the different types of triggers. And so these, you probably don't have to worry about much of these at right now. Like, I would say the only ones you would probably really pay attention to as a beginner is probably this one called page view here. And as you level up, then you'll learn a little bit about clicks. And then as you level up, you might learn about some of these other ones. There's scroll and YouTube. Those are pretty simple to use. We have very easy walkthrough guides on how to use those in our courses and our workshops. So those are fairly easy to use, but you don't need to know about all of these other ones just yet. Like, I don't think I've ever had to use a JavaScript error. I've taught how to use a history change, but I've only done that a handful of times in a decade. So it's okay that you don't have to know every single one of these. Sometimes as you level up, it's good to know what is possible and what your options are. But as you're getting started, you just focus on, hey, I need to happen when the page loads, and that's your page view, and that's all you need to worry about. You don't have to worry about anything else. And then when you're ready, you can be like, I want it to fire when they click on something, or when they scroll a certain thing, or they get to a certain point in the video. When you're ready, you can choose those type of things and level up your skills. And so again, triggers are the when, and backing out, we're backing out. And tags are the what. So the what you want to fire and when you want to fire it. I want to back out of this. We're going to discard because we don't want to save that. And I want to go to the triggers tab here, just so you can also kind of see, like, this is the same list we just saw. And then if we clicked on new and click on our rings again, and you notice the little icon, just so you see this little icon here matches this little icon, just a little bit keeping it simple. And then you can go through. It's the same list we just saw. And remember, we have our help docs too. So again, as you're learning and you want to just kind of see what the help docs say, you can always click here and kind of walk through and see the different options there, which is always helpful. And so remember, we have our little icon here, and we go back to our tags. This is the same icon, and here's the trigger. So remember the what and the when. And so tags are what, triggers are when, and variables are not the why. I know that was kind of like a simple way of kind of what, when, why. Nope. Variables are actually details. Details that you can use in either a tag or a trigger to help it do its job, to give it more information to pass through whatever platform it is you're trying to pass it to. Inside of Google Tag Manager, there's something called built-in variables. Again, you can hover and learn more if you want to. And there's lots of different things in this case, like, so the scroll depth, so you don't have to kind of go get some custom JavaScript variable and do all kind of other stuff. It's already here for you. Same thing with all this video stuff. It's already here for you. Same thing with all the clicks. It's already here for you. And you can go in and see all kind of other different ones that are already built in for you to be able to use if needed. And then you can go through, and if you wanted to create some new ones, you have that ability. And even though some of these might seem a little bit like, oh my goodness, what is going on with some of this stuff? Like, this just seems kind of crazy. We have all this symbols and stuff, and which is, you know, again, you'll level up to this eventually if you need to. And sometimes it is just simply something where this is called a constant, where it's just a way where you can put like an ID, in this case our measurement ID. You can put your Facebook ID or something in here, so you don't always have to go back and copy and paste it over and over and over again. It is just there for you, and you just use that piece and making it easy for yourself, so that every single one of these guys down here is using that again, so we don't have to constantly go find our measurement ID, and a constant is always there. So that's just a very, very simple variable for you to be able to use, so that you can give your tag details. So remember, the tag is the what, triggers the when, and the variable is the detail that helps the tag out. If we didn't have this, it would just be this little guy right here. I'm going to come back in here. It would just look like that. That's what it would look like. And then again, remember, you would have to go in and copy and paste it for every single one of these guys every single time you set something up, which is, as you can see, why we would not want to do that. So that's why we use a variable to help us save a lot of time. And we didn't start out this way, and a lot of people don't. This is something we leveled up into. I'm going to discard these changes because I definitely don't want to get rid of that. And we can always jump in and make sure, yep, those changes stayed. But what about that one that we were looking at before, clicks? And so remember, we have our what we're firing, which is a GA4 event. When we're firing it when there's link clicks. So we can see kind of how this thing is built. And so just when there's link clicks. And then the parameters is something kind of unique to Google Analytics 4 and some other platforms. They say, what details, what things do you want to pass through along with it? And in this case, we're saying, I want to know the link URL. And this format is specific to Google Analytics 4. They're asking if we want to align it with what the platform is looking for and call it how they want to store the data. They say call it link underscore URL, call it link underscore text, call it link underscore classes. So do that, and then the information that Google Tag Manager has is this. And so with the details, remember those built-in ones? That's what these are. These are the built-in ones that have it. And just a pro tip, like why does one say link, why does one say click? I have a feeling that eventually Google Tag Manager is going to change their word to link to match Google Analytics 4. Even though GA4 has been around for a while and Tag Manager hasn't done it, but it would make sense for them to eventually change this word. So if you happen to be watching this and you don't see a click URL, you only see link URL here and the variables, then they finally updated it just so that it matches. And there's that correlation there. But this is just details. They're variables that are details so that the tag can have the information that we want it to have. And as you have noticed, the little icon for variables is this little Lego block here. And remember, we have our built-ins, and then we have the other ones. And so here are built-ins that we've already enabled. And then we could go through and enable some more while we're here, which is kind of nice. We don't have to back all the way out to go get those like we used to. And so we're going to review this one more time. We're going to discard our changes, get out of this. And so remember, tags are the what, triggers are the when, and variables are the details. And some other pro tips for you. You might have noticed that we have a very strict naming convention for our Tag Manager container. And we do this with all of our clients, and it makes it so much easier to find the things we're looking for and to know if we're missing something. Like if maybe we didn't have a click set up, I would know very quickly because of our naming conventions, like, oh, no, click's supposed to be right here. And if it was missing, obviously I would search for it still and make sure that someone didn't come in here and ruin the naming convention, but I would be able to find out pretty quick because of that. And so just knowing, having a good naming convention doesn't have to match ours, but having a good naming convention is going to save you a lot of time and frustration. So if you've ever gone in and seen a tag manager and it just seems like scattered and crazy, it might be because they were not very good at naming them and they was just all over the place and hard for your brain to kind of wrap around, because it's definitely happened to us. Another pro tip is kind of pay attention to the tag type. Because again, if you come into a container that is disorganized, it could be hard to find out, well, which one's what is what. And so you can look at a tag type. If you were doing something for Google Ads, it would identify the ones that are for Google Ads. There's your Facebook pixel. If you have other platforms, it would also identify those as well. And I'm actually going to go into a bigger container. I'm going to duplicate this. I would not plan on doing this, but I think it'll make a whole lot more sense for you if I do that. And so we're going to come down to another really big container. This one has lots of different things going on in it. And so as you can see, this is the one that we've had for years and years and years, that we just kind of have lots of different custom HTML things. We have lots of different Facebook pixel. There's the old Google Analytics, and then we can kind of keep scrolling through. And this is how, when we come into a new container for clients, we can see, like, they're like, oh, we need a Google Ads pixel kind of set up, and then I can go through all of their current ones to make sure I'm not about to be duplicating something that's already there or something like that. So that's where you can see there's Google Ads, and here's some more that's coming through here. So that is just another example of using that. Something else that I personally use constantly is this thing over here where it's last edited. I like to pull this up and filter so I can see what was the last thing that was done, especially if you have a client that has multiple people in here. So I can kind of see, okay, who was in here and what did they do, and we can kind of see that. Another way of doing that is coming over to versions, and you can kind of hop in here and see, well, what did they do? And you see the version changes, which is really, really nice to be able to kind of see what happened. And in this case, we could see who did those things as well, the different people. Being able to pay attention to those is really helpful once you kind of learn the platform and know that. You can also organize with the folders, as you can see. And then the final pro tip that I'm going to give you, even though there's lots and lots and lots of other things in there, there's cool things like templates and all kind of other ways to use this. There's workspaces where you can have more than one person in there so you guys don't overwrite your changes. But the thing that I think for you as a beginner to know about is that there are ways where you can import containers, meaning once you kind of understand this, you don't have to constantly rebuild and rebuild and rebuild over and over. And if you have lots of different clients, you don't have to start from scratch every time. You can create your own template, meaning here's the page view, here's the scroll, here's the click, here's all the variables and tags and stuff that I'm going to want, keeping them kind of generic, and then you can import a container, meaning saving you hours and hours and hours. Like maybe the first few you kind of build manually, but then after you get the hang of it and know what you're doing, you can get this done. And like we timed it on a call one time. It was less than 2 minutes that I was able to have page views, click, scroll, and video done. And it was like insanely simple. So just kind of know that that is a thing. And once you're ready to level up your skills and use that, that is something just incredibly valuable for those of you that are agency owners or want to be able to do that quickly. And so that is your beginner guide to Google Tag Manager. Let's go ahead and review that tags are what, triggers are when, and variables are details. So what was your one thing? I hope you got something out of here that you are able to take away. So please let us know in the comments, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We'd love to have you back. Every Wednesday we have a workshop, and every first Wednesday of the month we always go through what's new. So if you don't watch any of the other ones, highly encourage you to watch that one so that you can stay up to date on all things measurement marketing. And if you want to know more about that thing that we talked about at the beginning, which was the Measurement Marketing Framework, you can learn more about it. It's a course back there in the Measurement Marketing Academy, along with all kind of other fun tools back there. And you can go to look at the link as measure.tips/getacademy if you want to know more about that. And that is a beginner's guide to Google Tag Manager. We'll see you next time.